Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy ColtsTalk. We're back with another video, and today we're going to be giving my thoughts about the Colts and Cardinals game. And of course, we're not going to be going over the final score and things of that nature. We're just going to go over some players that stood out, and going to be fighting for a position spot, but it's going to be really tough. So it's going to be interesting to see, what guys land and what guys fall as we narrow it down to the end of the preseason, getting to to the regular season games where we go to face Houston in Week 1. But before all of that, we got to finish the preseason, and then we got to get to cut day, which is going to be very critical for this preseason roster because some of these guys took a huge jump from game 1 to game 2, gameplay wise, and their mechanics to seem to get everything down. And some people have just been flat out killing it the whole preseason. So let me just give you my thoughts on the Colts and Cardinals game. I thought it was exciting. It was fun to watch. It was definitely more interesting than the first game we played against Denver, but the game against Arizona was definitely exciting. I just want to share my thoughts on, first, I want to start off with Sam Ellinger. I think Sam Ellinger is going to always be the preseason GOAT no matter what it is because his gameplay in the preseason is dang near untouchable. And, of course, you're going to say, oh, it's the preseason. It's a bunch of second strings and third strings. Well, Sam Ellinger is one of those too. And when he goes out there, he's playing for a roster spot still. His spot is not safe nowhere near. And also, when you think about it, these preseason games means a lot for these guys because, of course, some of these guys might not make the roster. We get that, but there are still opportunities for them elsewhere, and other teams might, pick up interest, and they might want to go, sign guys from the Colts roster, like a Sam Ellinger. When you look at the situation that the Colts are in, you see Jason Bean, who's out there balling and performing. Of course, he struggled in game 1 against Denver, but in game 2, I can talk about now. That game 2, he looked so much more fluent. The game's starting to slow down a little bit. And, of course, it's going to take times. It's going to take a little bit more time than other players to, actually develop and get into their own and, actually start to find their stride in the league. The league speed is totally different from, Canadian football, arena football, or even high school or college football. The speed is totally different when you're looking at the NFL. So going out there and Jason Bean, you've seen the difference from game 1 to game 2. He started to hit his stride. In game 1, he struggled a little bit in game 2, but in game 2, he just looked more polished, I would say. Of course, it wasn't perfect, but you can see the difference from game 1 to game 2 of his gameplay. And he was putting the ball on the money. He was very aggressive on the run as well. And I just thought he was exciting to watch. And he's definitely a guy on the roster bubble that can potentially make some noise, and it's going to be interesting as well. Like I said, again, him versus Sam Ellinger, it's going to be a very tough situation. In my hopes in general, I would love for Sam to stay on the squad, but I'm pretty sure that there's an opportunity for him elsewhere. So if we were able to get some type of value for him and he has a chance to actually play somewhere else, I'm all for, letting Sam Ellinger go and, riding with Jason Bean to come off the bench with Anthony Richardson because he's so exciting to play. Even Salafis, in my opinion, I think had a few good throws as well, but Sam Ellinger was zipping when he was in the game, zipping the ball. You hear me? He was zipping the ball. The ball was on the money on so many good passes. He actually ran for a few yards as well. But Bean is just dang near unstoppable. When you look at the backup quarterback position, you see your starters, Anthony Richardson. Bean is just another animal, especially coming out of college. He had the same expectations of, the potential of what he can do. And he wound up doing it in the preseason. So Bean is definitely my backup quarterback I would want to go with, especially in the offense like Shane Steichens. I think it'd be good to go. Another person, Tyler Goodson, dogged this game, man. He was running hard. The whole running back room, in my opinion, I think they all get their flowers for their production in that game against the Cardinals. Evan Hall had a few good runs. Xavier Scott, in my opinion, was probably the best running back out of all of them. Tyler Goodson, again, he was a workhorse. He really did a lot of damage, but Xavier Scott was running hard. He reminded me of Trey Sermon when he first got on the scene with the Colts, and he was running very heavy. So definitely was the same effect for sure. Definitely got to be my guy, Xavier Scott, for the running back room. Like I said, in general, was out there, doing their justice, and it was out there going crazy. I think all the receivers, in my opinion, everybody was catching the football that game against the Cardinals. It was something that's, not normal to see, especially when you're a Colts fan. You see a lot of people got, butterfingers of hands. But this game was, like I said, it was fun and exciting. Everybody was catching the ball. There was a lot of jump balls, and they were going out there to go get. But the quarterbacks were putting the ball on the money. They were putting them in position to go make a play. Shout out to Treadwell. He is a vet in the game. But he was out there making a lot of good plays. Former Raven, as I can remember, like I said, but he was a vet, maybe like 9 years in the league, still fighting for a spot. Opportunities is not handed out, man. You got to go earn that. So Treadwell's out there making plays. Like I said, Goodson was making plays. Xavier Scott. The tight end room was pretty quiet this game, in my opinion. The offensive line, it did struggle at a few moments. Like I said, on the left side of the field. That is going to be a question moving forward, of course. But my current thoughts on the offensive line as the backups as well. I don't know a lot of NFL teams that have like depth pieces that are very solid, going from the starter position to second to third string on the offensive line. Like, of course, you're going to have a diamond in the rough as a backup offensive lineman. But, it's going to be tough no matter what happens if your starter goes down on the offensive line. No offensive line, in my opinion, unless you guys can name them. Um, Backup wise could pretty much bang out with the ones on any team, in my opinion. So it's going to be tough. Like I said, they did struggle, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I seen Tanner Borneliti go down with an injury that game. Hopefully, he can recover as soon as possible. But other than that, going to the defense, I think the defense has been playing. They played much better this game, in my opinion. They blitzed a lot this game too, as well. This is something that's not really normal from the Colts, especially from the Colts fan base that craves and urges this team this defense to blitz all the time. They want to see so many more blitzes. But in this game against the Cardinals, they did show some blitzes this game, which was quite impressive because it actually got to the quarterback. From the defensive side, Isaiah Land has been dogging all training camp and preseason. It's going to be tough if he does not make the roster spot. So Isaiah Land has definitely been balling. Alubi had some good plays as well. I got to give an honorable mention to my guy Grant Stewart. I know you guys probably like he didn't do anything, but he's my goat. If you guys don't know who he is, he's the guy with the long hair, orange. Reminds me of Troy Polamalu, but his hair is orange. But that is my go-to guy, Grant Stewart. Hopefully, he stays on the roster. He's been bounced around the league as well, but hopefully, he can stay on the Colts because that is my goat, especially for the preseason, hands down, no question. Nick Cross has been playing phenomenal in the preseason and training camp. Like I said, this is a big season for him. He has an opportunity ahead of him that he's never really had at all. So the fact that he's out here balling in the preseason and the training camp, it shows you a lot for his growth and development, his patience, and his time of studying the game and actually getting a chance to go out there and perform. He has been doing his thing. So definitely Nick Cross has been going out there and going crazy. For the cornerback side, Juju Brents went down with a nose injury. I know a lot of Colts fans are trying to be patient with Juju Brents. I am the most patient one. Hi, I'm yours truly, Culture Shock. I know a lot of people are on the edge about Juju Brents and him staying healthy and things of that nature. But like I said, this injury, of course, if you did not see the picture of his nose or the interview when he was getting interviewed in his nose was messed up. It really was. But this injury is not going to keep him out for a month or things or two. It's a contact sport, and he broke his nose. It's going to happen. It has something to do with like the helmet or something like that. But this guy has a nose pierce too, so his nose probably going to bleed. But it is what it is. I think Juju Brents is still my cornerback too. Of course, Kenny Moore is honorable mention when it comes to that corner room. But Juju Brents is still my guy. I still have faith in him. I think he can go out there and ball. This is the same type of energy we had with Rocky Sin when he was here. If you guys remember, Rocky Sin struggled early on in his time with the Colts. And this is a whole different system on defense and everything of that nature. But I'm just talking about being patient with young corners. Young corners, they're coming out there. He has the intangibles to go be good. I think, if the defense plays to his strengths, he's going to be one of the best corners out there. So, of course, it's going to be, you got to be patient with these guys. All of these guys are not going to come out there and just be amazing from the first snap. Once you get once you get continuity and repetition when you come into the scheme, especially if the coach plays to your strengths, I think you can do whatever you want to do. Kenny Moore struggled in Gus Bradley's first year on the defensive scheme. He was placed all over, especially with injuries. They put him out there on the island. Kenny Moore had a rough year. Next year, he came back, same scheme. And, Gus Bradley plays to his strengths. You've seen Kenny Moore coming off the edge a little bit more. He was locking down in the slot position. He had that Carolina Panthers game. Like I said, you just guys got to be patient. I think Gus Bradley knows what he's doing. Of course, this is not the Legion of Boom. We know that, but this coach pretty much has an idea of what he wants to do and why we did not be aggressive in free agency, because I think he knows the strengths of these players. I think next year is going to be a whole different scene when it comes to this defense. And I think a lot of people are going to start to question, why were we so upset with Gus Bradley? Because I have faith that this defense is going to take a step up next year. Of course, they're definitely under the radar when it comes to the AFC South and things of that nature. But I do think this team, that had the leading tackler in the NFL, a young room in the corners, and they got a nice pass rush, especially depth-wise, nice defensive line with DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and then you got Kwity Paye, Tyquan Lewis, then you got uh, Latu, and all of those guys. Then you got a young secondary room, a young safety room with Cross and Blackman. I think this team could definitely make some noise. I think the pass rush is taking another jump up from last year. But like I said, back to the preseason game, we were mentioning the pass rush. They was out there doing the thing, like I mentioned, Land already, Alubi. But this team is definitely young. Another person I want to give it flowers to is Jalen Carlisle. I think Jalen Carlisle had a good game as well, in my opinion. But again, this team, it's going to be tough when it comes down to these roster spots. We got one more preseason game to go through, and that's going to be against the Bengals. We got a joint practice with them as well. So this is going to be interesting, especially when it comes down to the cut period. We're going to have another video coming out for that as well. But other than that, you give me your thoughts about who stood out in this preseason game, everything in the comment section. You follow me on all platforms. I stay tuned with you guys. And other than that, this is Culture Shock, and you guys have a good one.